I'm especially excited for the next story of our Ignite Speakers BU's own Ameera Hammouda. Ameera is the founder of a sustainable women's clothing line that is also called Ameera. Ameera means princess, chief, and leader in Arabic. These adjectives really embody the woman for whom Ameera clothes are designed for. The goal is to provide a wardrobe for the Ameera woman that allows her to be the best version of herself and become the powerful leader that she is truly capable of becoming. Please join me in welcoming Ameera to the Ignite stage.
I have a confession to make. I am a serial entrepreneur. It started when I was 5 years old when I launched Ameera's Creations out of my childhood bedroom. My shop opened at 7 a.m. sharp, and I would notify my potential customers, my mom, my dad, my brother, by jumping on their beds to wake them up. And although my customer base wasn't extensive, it was the beginning of my innovation journey. And I didn't stop there. Innovation was my thing. In grade school, I introduced bedazzled glitter masks to my growing line that I sold at school fairs. In addition to being a crafty fashion lover, I was also an athlete. Flash forward a few years, and as just a freshman in high school, I made the varsity tennis team. While I was elated to make the team, I was also presented with a real dilemma. It was the first time in my life I had to wear a uniform, and the uniform was skimpy. It had a tiny little mini skirt and a sleeveless tank with a deep cut neck. How can any human play in something like that? I'm not alone. Other athletes to this day have shared in this realization. As we just saw in the 2020 Olympics, German gymnasts were clamoring for full-length bodysuits over revealing leotards. Oh, I am an Egyptian Muslim. Being modest is an important part of who I am. It's a symbol of my devotion to God and helps me focus inward on my character. It's not just about modesty in dress, it's also about modesty in consumption, in desire not being greedy, in expectations having a work-life balance, and of course, like we said, in dress. The uniform compromised my faith, but not wearing it made me feel less a part of the team. Plus, it was sort of required. So I made alterations to the uniform to find a balance between being an athlete and upholding my own values. But this lack of modest dress options wasn't confined to athletics. As spring of junior year rolled around, so did shopping for prom. And many retail stores later, I gave up and made my own dress. A year later, I swapped my tennis racket for an oar and I joined the Boston University women's crew team. Guess what? Again, I had to modify my uniform to create something I was comfortable with. Clearly, this was an issue in a variety of women's sports. While I studied business here at BU, I knew I wanted to keep my hand in the fashion world. So I joined FAB, the Fashion and Retail Association, where I debuted my first ever original designs on a runway covered in sprinkles. Because why not? Simultaneously, I saw a life-changing documentary here called The True Cost. I was starting to see overlaps between my dream of being in the fashion world and its impacts on the environment. The fast fashion industry alone contributes roughly 12 million tons of waste into landfills. In Islam, sustainability is actually an often overlooked component of the faith. As we said, it's about modesty in consumption. So from that moment on, I committed to using already existing fabrics, sustainable, upcycled materials, and producing on-demand bespoke fashion to eliminate waste. Simultaneously, I was taking an entrepreneurship course right here in Questrom with Professor Peter Martin. I know you're in here, Peter, somewhere. We get a round of applause for Professor Martin. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember your mantra being find solutions to real problems. And that was my light bulb moment. The problem I had been running away from, I had faced in high school with the varsity uniform, and then with the prom dress, and then again with the crew uniform at BU. There is no modest, sustainable, stylish clothing for women like me. And it wasn't just the uniforms or the prom dress. The problem was offline, online. It was everywhere. So from that moment on, once I graduated, I committed to my dream. And after researching raw materials, suppliers, understanding this entire life cycle of fashion design, I officially launched Ameera in 2021. Ameera is a sustainable luxury women's wear brand that bridges the gap between style and modesty. Our goal is to create wardrobe solutions for women like myself. And after much research, I project there are almost 3 billion women like me worldwide who have added unnecessary layers to wear something that doesn't compromise their values. Wendy. Oh, thank you. Sorry, gotta throw me a line. But as a sustainable luxury women's wear brand, we have an unconventional perspective. As I said, modesty is about minimizing consumption. So we're not focused on trends. We buck the trends and lean into what we know to be true. That modesty is a lifestyle. As you can see here, I'm sporting one of the looks. This is our original sample. Our premier collection launched in the summer of 2021, sold out immediately with over $5,000 in sales. And while these first few months have been magical, they've also been wildly chaotic due to rapid growth and remote collaboration in such a hands-on industry. I've learned that resilience is key, as is teamwork. And being a solo founder means that it's even more important to find mentors and partners who will support you. Lisa, for example, was a Parsons School of Fashion Design student that I met when volunteering at New York Fashion Week in 2019. We stayed in touch just in case one day I did launch a clothing brand. And as we all know how that went, I did. And she's now one of our part-time designers. I also have freelancers that help with our newsletter, The American. And yes, I've even called upon family members. My sister-in-law is my model on call. So when Professor Martin kept asking the class, "What is the problem you are solving?" his voice kept ringing in my ears. Living modestly and authentically in this contemporary world was a problem I had been running away from and working around my whole life. So while you're all here today, I'd like to leave you all with the same question. What is the problem you want to address, and how are you going to solve it? Thank you.